My name is Jason. I travel a lot for work. One night I checked into a small hotel in a quiet town. I was tired and just wanted to sleep. The receptionist was an old man with a shaky voice. He gave me my room key and said something strange. "Don't stay in room 313. No matter what," he whispered. I laughed. "Okay, I won't," I replied, thinking he was just joking. He handed me the key to room 312. The hotel was old. The walls had cracks. The carpet smelled musty, but I didn't care. I just needed sleep. I got into my room and lay on the bed. Around midnight, I heard something knock. Knock, knock. It came from the wall behind my bed. That wall connected to room 313. I froze. Then I remembered what the old man said. My heart started to beat faster. I pressed my ear to the wall. Silence. I laughed nervously. "It's an old building," I told myself. "It's probably the pipes." But just as I was about to lie back down, knock, knock, knock. 3 slow knocks. Again, this time it was louder. I jumped up. My room was cold, ice cold. I checked the heater. It was on, but the air coming out felt like winter wind. I put on my jacket and walked down to the front desk. The old man was gone. In his place was a young woman. Her face looked pale. She barely looked at me. "I need a different room," I said. "There's something wrong with the one I have." She didn't say anything for a few seconds. Then she asked, "What room?" 312, I said. Her eyes widened. "Did you hear it?" "Hear what?" I asked, already knowing the answer. She leaned in and whispered, "The knocks?" I nodded slowly. She looked around like someone was watching us. Then she said, "You're lucky you're not in 313. People who go in don't come out." I laughed again, but this time it was forced. "What do you mean?" "Room 313 was closed 5 years ago," she said. "A woman died in there. She was stabbed 13 times. Her body wasn't found for a week. By then, the smell." She stopped talking and shivered. They cleaned the room, but people still said they heard her crying or knocking. One guest who stayed there went crazy. He said she'd talk to him at night. Sighed she wanted him to bleed. After that, they locked the room. I looked at the hallway. The door to room 313 had chains on it. But I swear I heard something behind it. A soft voice, "Help me." I backed away. "Nope, I'm leaving," I said. "I don't care how late it is." The woman nodded like she understood. I went back to room 312 to grab my bag. When I opened the door, I felt warm air hit me. The cold was gone. That was even scarier. My suitcase was open. I didn't leave it like that. And on the mirror, there was writing, "Come next door." I didn't write that. No one else was in the room. I grabbed my stuff and ran. Down the hallway, past room 313. As I passed it, I felt something grab my arm. Ice-cold fingers. I screamed and turned. Nothing was there but the door to room 313. It was open a crack, just a crack. And inside, I saw someone standing in the dark. A woman. Her face was pale, her eyes were hollow, and in her hand was a bloody knife. She smiled. I ran out of the hotel without checking out. I got in my car and drove until morning. I didn't stop. Not once. I never went back to that town. I never stayed in a hotel without checking reviews again, and every time I hear a knock at night, I freeze because I still remember room 313 and her smile.
My name's Ryan. I used to be a night manager at a hotel just outside Nashville. I worked the graveyard shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Most nights were slow. I'd sit at the front desk, scroll on my phone, refill the coffee, maybe help a late check-in or deal with a drunk guest. But one night changed everything. It was a Thursday, cold, rainy, the kind of night when the world feels quiet, like it's holding its breath. The hotel was half full, mostly truckers and business travelers. Around 1 a.m., I was refilling the lobby coffee when the phone rang. Front desk, I answered. Silence. Hello. Then I heard it, a soft, rasping voice. Who is in the hallway? I frowned. Excuse me. The voice repeated, slower this time. Who is walking in the hallway? I checked the caller ID. It was from room 204. I typed it into the system. The guest was a woman named Diane Fields, checked in earlier that afternoon. Ma'am, I'm not sure. You heard someone out there? No response. Just breathing. Then she whispered, he's standing outside my door. My stomach dropped. I got up and looked at the security monitor. The hallway camera for the second floor was flickering, glitching like an old VHS tape. Hold on, I told her. I'll come check it out. I grabbed my flashlight and master key, then took the elevator to the second floor. The hallway was dimly lit, long and silent. All the room doors were closed, except one, room 204. The door was cracked open. Miss Fields. I called out gently. No answer. I knocked softly. It's Ryan from the front desk. Are you all right? Still nothing. I slowly pushed the door open. The lights inside were off. Just the glow of the hallway light behind me stretching across the carpet. The bed was unmade. The TV was on, static humming quietly, but no one was inside. I checked the bathroom. Empty. It was like she vanished. Then I noticed something chilling. The lock on the inside of her door, the swing latch, was still latched. It was bent sideways like something forced its way in, or forced its way out. I backed out of the room and radioed the assistant manager. No answer. I went downstairs and called the cops. Told them we had a missing guest. They said they'd send someone in 20 minutes. I hung up, and that's when I heard it. Click, click, click. Like footsteps. Slow, dragging footsteps, coming from the second floor. I looked at the monitor. The hallway camera had stopped flickering, and that's when I saw him. A tall man, easily over 6 feet 5 inches. Bald, dressed in a black suit that looked like it came from the 1920s. His face was pale, like chalk, and he was standing in the middle of the hallway, facing the camera, not moving, just standing and staring. I watched, frozen, my breath caught in my throat. Then he took one step. Click. Then another. Click. He turned slowly and looked at the door of room 207. He raised his hand and knocked. Tap, tap, tap. I picked up the phone to call the guest in that room. It rang twice, then stopped. On the monitor, I watched as the door to 207 creaked open. The man in the suit walked in, and the door closed behind him. I ran upstairs. By the time I reached room 207, the hallway was empty. No sign of anyone. I knocked. No answer. I used the master key and entered. The room was cold. Freezing cold. Colder than anything I've felt indoors. The windows were shut. The heat was on full blast, but I could see my breath. On the bed was a man in his 50s. Pale, wide-eyed. He was dead. Eyes open. Mouth frozen in a scream. But no blood. No sign of violence. It was like the life had just drained out of him. The cops arrived 10 minutes later. I told them everything I saw. Showed them the security footage. Except the footage was gone. Only static on the hallway camera. Nothing recorded. No tall man. No knocks. No entry. No exit. The medical examiner ruled the man's death a heart attack. Natural causes. Diane Fields was never found. Her ID, her purse, everything was still in the room. But she was gone, like she'd never been there. They questioned me, of course. I passed every test. Told the truth. But after that night, something changed. I started seeing him again. In reflections. In my dreams. Sometimes in hotel lobbies where I work. Always the same. Tall. Pale. Black suit. And that slow, deliberate knock. Tap. Tap, tap. Every hotel I go to, I check the cameras. Every time, I half expect to see him standing there, waiting. I quit the hotel business 6 months later, moved states, started working at a shipping warehouse. Safer, less night shifts. But sometimes, just sometimes, I still hear a knock at my door around 2 a.m. I don't answer, because I know who it is, and I don't want to know what happens if I let him in. I should have kept driving. That's the one thought that haunts me now. I was tired, sure, and the fog was thick as soup. But I should have kept my foot on the gas and found some big chain hotel down the highway. Instead, I pulled into Birch Hollow, a town so small, it didn't even show up on Google Maps. No lights, no sounds, just a few empty buildings, a church, and a single place to stay. The Birch Hollow Motor Lodge, sitting quietly at the edge of a dark pine forest. The neon sign out front blinked red, buzzing like a dying fly. I pulled into the lot, and Max, my golden retriever, immediately started whining. I reached over to pet him, but he pulled away, eyes locked on the trees behind the motel. I should have listened to him. Inside the front office, a bell chimed as I stepped in. The woman behind the desk didn't look up. She just slid a brass key across the counter. "Room 9, she said, voice flat. "You're the only guest tonight." I tried to smile. "Is it okay that I have a dog with me?" She didn't answer that. As I turned to leave, she added, "If the mirror bothers you, cover it." I froze. "Excuse me. Just don't stare too long. That's all." I wanted to ask what she meant, but something about her made me stop. I nodded slowly and walked out. Room 9 was around back. I parked in front of it and opened the door, expecting the usual musty motel smell. But the air was sharp and cold, like walking into a walk-in freezer. The room was simple: bed, tiny bathroom, old TV. But right across from the bed stood a tall mirror, framed in black wood, with strange symbols carved all around it. It wasn't hanging on the wall like most hotel mirrors. It stood on the floor, slightly tilted back. Max refused to come in. He stood at the threshold, ears flat, tail between his legs. "Come on, boy," I coaxed. He growled, low, steady, and backed away. I looked into the mirror. My reflection stared back, of course, but something about it was off. It moved just a second too slow. I raised my hand and waved. The reflection followed, but not immediately. It caught up, like a delayed video feed. Then it smiled, but I didn't. I threw a towel over it and dragged the little dresser in front. Whatever that thing was, I didn't want to see it. Max finally came in after I blocked it. He curled up by the bed, but kept his eyes fixed on that corner of the room. I left the TV on low and lay down, exhausted. But sleep didn't come easy. Around 2 a.m., I heard tapping. Tap, tap, tap. I sat up. The towel was on the floor. I hadn't heard it fall. I hadn't moved all night. The mirror was exposed again, and the reflection was already sitting up, staring at me. But I hadn't moved. It tilted its head slowly. Then it stood. My body was still in bed. But in the mirror, I was standing and smiling. Max barked, teeth bared. The mirror version of me raised a hand and began to write something on the glass with a finger. Letters appeared in the foggy surface, as if drawn by breath. "Let me out." My heart thudded in my chest. I leapt up, grabbed the towel, and tossed it back over the mirror. I shoved the dresser harder against it and backed away. The tapping didn't stop. It got louder. Tap, 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 tap. Then silence. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. At sunrise, I left the key on the bed, grabbed my stuff, and walked out with Max close behind. We got in the car, and I drove straight to the small church near the town exit. An old man was sweeping the steps. I rolled down my window. "Excuse me. That motel, the Birch Hollow one. What's with room 9? He stared at me for a long moment. "You saw her," he said. "Her. The girl in the mirror. Her name was Emily. She used to live there, before it became a motel. Obsessed with mirrors. Said she had a twin inside them. One day she smashed one and walked through." He shook his head. "She never came back. But others did. People who looked like her. Talked like her. And sometimes, people who stayed in that room didn't check out." He leaned in, eyes sharp. "If she smiled at you, don't ever go near another mirror at night. Not until you're sure you're still the real one." That sentence has never left my head. I've been home for months now. Got the new job. Settled into a small place in Portland. I cover the mirrors in my house every night. Because sometimes, when I forget, and I catch my reflection unexpectedly, It stares a little too long. And sometimes it smiles.